It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
And we are live here on Car Con Carne. I'm James Van Alstyne, doing this one from home. I overbooked myself. I do this. I get excited about Car Con Carne and I overbook myself. So there's a lot going on with Car Con Carne in the days to come, ramping up to Thanksgiving. Tonight is the first of two interviews. Later on tonight, I'll be talking with movie director and returning guest to Car Con Carne, Blaine Weaver, who has a new movie debuting on Hulu this weekend. Coming up tomorrow, I'll be talking to a different director. I'll be talking to Adam Mervis and the stars of the movie The Last Days of Capitalism, which is a really cool movie. We'll talk to them. And then Friday night, I'm talking to Katie Reif, senior writer of the AV Club, about a truly disturbing movie that she is curating at the Music Box Theater. And then coming up this weekend, Sal Abenanti, comic creator, graphic novelist. Sal Abenanti will be joining me at Johnny's Beef. I'll be back in the car for that one. And there's more to come behind that. I'm keeping Car Con Carne busy. I love doing this, and I love the fact that I am gradually getting back into the car. So that's all future tense. Present tense. Have you ever found yourself just finding a band, discovering someone's music that you'd never heard of, a band that was a big mystery to you up until that point, and have it essentially change your life? That's what happened with one of my next two guests. Eric Clements discovered a handful of cassettes at a thrift store from an 80s Chicago band called The Veil. That discovery led him down a rabbit hole to learn more, and that led him to start a record label to release a Lorna Donley, and The Veil anthology, Time Stands Still. So Clements is on the show today, along with David Thomas from The Veil, to talk about the thrill of music discovery, the passion it inspires, and music in general. Gentlemen, nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you, James.
Hi. Nice, thanks for having us.
So I want to go through that story, Eric, of how you discovered The Veil. But before we even talk about that, it's got to be fairly surreal, I would imagine, for you, David, to be talking about The Veil in 2021 and to talk about it as almost like a new thing.
I suppose. I mean, it's not. Well, I don't know. It's not new for me,
right?
But yeah, it's so many years on. These recordings are all from, help me out here, between 86 and 89.
Yeah, 87 and 88.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
I rounded out. The thing is at a certain point, Lorna and I were planning on, putting something together. We kind of started on that. The band that we were previously in, we had some reissues that came out, and that went really well, and we were happy with that. And we were working toward perhaps shopping these recordings around, and quite unexpectedly and tragically, Lorna passed away. And after that happened, I just kind of felt like, I don't know if I really want to drag this stuff around with me anymore. And I was letting go of all of it. It had sort of been a disappointment that nothing had ever come of it. And I basically let go of it. And as I dumped the cassettes at a thrift store, I said to my wife, I don't know. She was like, "You sure you want to do this?" And I said, "I don't know. Maybe they'll mean something to somebody someday."
So these were your cassettes.
These were my cassettes
that Eric discovered.
Correct.
All right, let's go there. Eric, are you a thrift store shopper? Are you a music collector? Give me context here.
Both. Yes, I've been going to thrift stores for a long time, and I collect music, mostly, analog stuff, mostly records, but I do look at cassettes at thrift stores just to see if there's anything good. That particular day, I went into the thrift store, and there were these a bunch of cassettes. Like there were, I guess, 8 or 9 bags hanging. Like this thrift store, Village Discount, has these bags of crap, like bric-a-brac sort of stuff. Yeah. And within that were these cassettes, and it was like a bunch of bags of cassettes, and I would pull one down. It would be a bunch of mixed tapes and stuff, but it would also be like this stuff, like Suicide.
Nice.
Like Alan Vega.
Homemade Pretty Things, Easy Beats compilations.
Stone Roses.
Oh, these are some great finds here.
Flaming Groovies, Trogs. These were tapes that I had made. These were mixtapes that I made. And at a certain point, I mean, my wife and I were doing a big purge, and I got rid of all my cassettes.
Wait. For people who are only listening, that's Changes to Bowie and Another Time, Another Place by Brian Ferry?
I believe so.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Fantastic album.
Stooges Funhouse.
Oh my God.
The Breeders, Last Splash.
Alan Vega, Saturn Strip.
So this is only like a percentage of them. There was a Velvet Underground. So anyway, within all of these bags, there was at least one or two like really cool cassette, and the bags were 40 cents each. So I just grabbed all of the bags. Put them in a bag.
I would have done the same exact thing. I would have been right there with you. I would have done the same thing.
It was a Saturday. I'm just going to buy this stuff now. And it ended up being like 120 cassettes for about $8.
I was going to say
deal of the century. Deal of the century.
The deal of the century. Yeah, it was great. So I put them in. I brought a backpack with me. They all fit in my backpack. And then after that, I left to meet my wife at another store in Andersonville. And I was like, yeah, I have a lot of cassettes in my bags. So that evening, I just like grabbed like a 6-pack of beer and just like sat down on my living room floor and just looked at them all.
Which, by the way, forgive me for interrupting as you're telling the story. That's like a dream Saturday night, isn't it?
For me, it is.
Yeah. I mean, for real.
Yeah.
Stacks of new music acquisitions, just you hanging out. You got your cold beverage.
And $8. Yeah. The beer costs more than the cassettes.
For sure.
But so anyway, I couldn't keep, all of these cassettes, and there were a lot of mixed stuff, and I couldn't keep everything. So I made a pile of stuff that I was getting rid of and a pile of stuff that I was going to keep. And I was looking stuff up online just to see if, if there's anything really expensive or whatever. But I was just looking at, and then I found this one cassette by The Veil, and it was a 4-track EP, and it had a photo of a woman. It's actually over there if you want to grab it.
Where is it?
It's in the back of it's in the back there somewhere. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, this would be it.
Yeah, so then it was this. So then there was this. I found this, and it's The Veil. Where's that? Yeah, like that. And
it was a 4-song cassette that we released in 1986, 88. I don't know, something.
So I looked it up. I was like, this is interesting. It has a Chicago address. Looked it up. I couldn't find anything. Couldn't find anything on YouTube. Couldn't find any photos. Couldn't find any mention of them. So then I put it in the reject pile. And I looked at the reject pile a little while later, and I saw like the Veil EP final mixes.
And for people who are just listening, these are handwritten cassettes. So that's the difference. So you're seeing like pen or you're seeing ink writing on these tapes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Some of which are probably my handwriting. This one is. Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I found, we have the other ones over there, but I found 8 cassettes. This was 4 of them. But I found 8 cassettes that had The Veil on them. So then I looked at this one again, the one that had like sort of an artwork to it. And I looked and I found the name Lorna Donley. So I, searched The Veil. It was the Veil Chicago band before, then it was the Veil Lorna Donley. And that took me to one article in the Chicago Tribune from 1988, September of 88. And it was an article that talked about how this band was just getting started or getting moving. They came from this band called Da from the early 80s. So they're like the 2 main members, David Thomas and Lorna Donley, came from this band Da. And then I found some Da videos, found a bunch of Da photos. And then I found out that Lorna Donley had passed away through numerous obituaries from the Tribune, Sun-Times, and then I looked at so these tapes. I was like, I didn't even listen to them that night because there was so much other stuff. But I decided I'm not going to get rid of them. I'm going to keep them because this music is nowhere to be found. And I just felt bad, because thrift stores are kind of one step away from the garbage.
100%.
100%.
But I appreciate I have a collector's mindset. So I would have had the same thought as you, like, oh, I don't know. Like I want to do a little more digging here. I want to learn more. Maybe I have something truly exceptional here.
And I was thinking at least I could like transfer them to digital, like on my own, because I have this little cheap thing, and I could put them on YouTube so they're not like lost to the world, because I just felt bad about that. So a few months down the road, I'm hanging out at my house. I still hadn't listened to the music yet. A few months down the road, I see these cassettes. I'm like listening to records, and I see these cassettes. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I put this one in, and I just sat back and like was having a beer or something. I listened to it, and I couldn't believe how good it was.
You went, wow.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how good, I couldn't believe how good the first song was, and the second song was good, the third song, fourth song, and then I put in another one. And then I listened to that, and suddenly I had like 8 or 9 songs, and I'm like, well, I could like make a record from this. Like I have enough. This music's really good. No one knows about it. I can make a record. I've never made a record before. I don't know how to make a record. I guess the first thing I need to do is contact the other main member of that band. So
Still
then
living.
Yeah, hopefully. So then I knew Lorna had passed away. So then I found that article again, David Thomas, searched him on Facebook, and said, hey, this is like 12 o'clock on a Thursday. Hey,
which, by the way, as names go, David Thomas seems like an incredibly ungoogleable name. I mean, there's a David Thomas in Perubu. Like,
Exactly.
if you start going down that rabbit hole, I'm sure it took a little work.
But I found him on Facebook, and I knew it was him because
Dogleg SCTV.
Yeah.
Dogleg
Wendy's. But I knew it was him because he had photos of Da on his Facebook page, like in his photos. So
he contacts me, and the first thing I see is that there's.
Can I go?
All right.
All right. Let me go. All right.
All right.
So then I contact him and I say, hey, this is late at night. I want to, I'd like to release this music. It's really good. Blah blah blah. And he said, he responded the next morning. He's like, that's really interesting. Where did you hear about it? And I took a photo of the tapes and sent it to him. He goes, okay, let's meet or whatever. So then I'm looking at his Facebook page again, and I noticed we have 2 friends in common. One is Rick Addy, Rick Addy, Shake, Rattle, and Read. He's the owner of Shake, Rattle, and Read,
known him for years.
Classic Chicago guy.
Sure.
And the other one was this guy that had been my dad's friend for about 45 years.
And I saw that same guy, and I said, wait a minute, this is this guy I went to high school with in St. Louis in 1984.
Yeah. So then I said,
wait for it.
So then I said, by the way, how do you know so-and-so? And he said, is your dad Greg Clements? And it turns out.
He said, yes. And I was like, I played on my high school baseball team with his dad.
Yeah. So David, so David, so anyway, I was like, so David, he had told me, he graduated from the school that I went to, high school in 74. My dad graduated in 75. He played high school baseball with my dad. We had the same baseball coach. I graduated in 98, and he dated my aunt for 2 years.
Yeah. He says to me, he goes, yeah, I think you might know my mom. And I said, what's your mom's name? And he told me. I said, geez, we were in a French class together. I was in a French class with his mom.
So my grandparents
in St. Louis, nothing to do with Chicago.
Crazy.
My grandparents recently passed away, and so they have all these photos.
Oh, you're not going to show that picture.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
So this is
lose that.
No, this is David right here.
Oh, amazing!
And that's my aunts, my uncle, and my mom right there.
I can't. My mind is fairly blown here. That all these convergences. I mean, all the way through the thrift store. I mean,
well, the thing was it? It felt to me like, all right, this is Lorna working her magic. She's making sure that these tracks come out, because we had started to work on this before she passed. And I kind of felt like, oh man, she sent somebody that really put the hook in my mouth that I could not say no to.
For real.
You know what I mean? Like this is actually kind of cool, cosmic, whatever. that things had fallen into place in some way, starting with me letting go of these tapes, him finding them, and then us saying, yeah, sure, maybe the time is right to release this. This is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So you made the connection. And then Eric, you had to do more research. You had to learn how to become a record company publisher, basically. You had to learn how to build a label and press physical media and all that stuff. You had to basically go to music boot camp.
Yeah, well, David helped me right when we ended up meeting, of course, after that weird coincidence we found, on Facebook. We ended up meeting, and David gave me the how to find the masters. I worked with Timothy Powell a little bit, and he helped me. I don't know if you know Timothy Powell, classic.
I know he's an icon in Chicago.
Yeah, he's an icon. Sure. So I worked with him. He was awesome.
We had done some of the recordings, had been with Timothy years ago.
Yeah, exactly. He transferred the tapes that he had to digital, all the stems. So, and then from there, David and I came up with a 10-song sequence, and we contacted Rax Tracks, and we were in the studio like 3 times, I think.
I love this story.
And mastering, yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. I mean, the truth of it is, I had really, I had let go of it. I had totally let go. It's like, okay, this is never going to happen. I'm not going to cart these, rough mixes and rehearsal tapes around with me anymore, along with everything else. I was just doing a big purge. I was just, letting go. And, sometimes to hold on to stuff, you have to let go of it, maybe.
For sure.
So it's very cool.
It's really cool.
So, all right. So Time Stands Still is this collection of songs.
Yes.
That all these songs that were discovered in a thrift store, basically on their last leg of life. Basically, at that point, they were a stone's throw away from the trash heap forever. You brought them back from the brink.
Yeah.
This is amazing to me, and I am of a certain age where that period of Da and then the Veil, it was happening just before I became fully aware of Chicago music. I was just not quite old enough to, I couldn't go to Exit, I couldn't go to Lucky Number or anything like that, or Banyans or any of that stuff. So
and that's where we were playing,
right?
All those clubs.
This is an era that to me still feels kind of mythological, and so when I hear stories, and that's what piqued my interest so much, is that Eric tapped into, like, he found a way to tunnel back to that time and bring something forward to the present day. I guess the question to you, David, what do you remember from those days? What was that era like? I mean, for those of us who weren't there, like the documentary, we weren't there. What was it like for you?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, starting with Da, I mean, I had been in bands in St. Louis. I relocated to Chicago in 1980. I was lucky enough to fall in with 3 women that were amazing and doing like really cool stuff. I became the boy guitar player in the girl art punk band. It was great. They were Lorna and Gayleen and Dawn. I mean, they were influenced by, some of the coolest stuff. They were influenced by the same stuff I was influenced by, whether it was Bowie or Mott the Hoople or, the Buzzcocks or, the New York Dolls, you name it. I mean, we were all listening to the same stuff. And, so we really came together in doing that. And then Lorna and I continued on with the relationship later and then formed this other band. And, really during that whole period, I mean, we were just working shitty jobs and playing as often as we could and doing some recording. And, Da had a little bit of, I wouldn't say popularity, but I mean, we made some records, and that was cool. And we were playing with a lot of the other bands in town, at the time, a lot of the groups that are on the Busted at Oz record, Strike Under and the Effigies and Naked Reagan and all those guys. We were friends with all those people and sharing stages with them, as well as, touring groups at places like Tuts and Waves and different clubs. I don't know. We were just, we were just struggling musicians, doing what musicians do. We were drinking a lot, and we were doing drugs, and we were making music, and we were reading books, and we were going to the movie, and trying to figure out if we could buy a car, or how to make the rent, find a new rehearsal space, or like a new drummer, all of that. It was just a constant struggle. And of course there wasn't anything like, home studio was not readily available.
Right.
So recording was always a bit of a challenge, to do recording. We were lucky. We fell in with people that we had some connections, and we were able to do that. I don't know what else to say about what it was like, except that we were just, we were making music.
Just kids making music, drinking, and reading, which may have been the most Chicago answer you could have given. We were reading, drinking, doing drugs.
Yeah.
But the reading part, like,
oh yeah, oh yeah,
we weren't wasting our time.
Yeah. Well, Lorna, and before Lorna passed, she ended up she was a librarian at the Harold Washington Library. We were within that circle of Chicago bands. I don't know if we were deeper thinkers than others. There were a lot of deep thinkers in that scene. I don't know. Yeah, we read books a lot. We watched Doctor Who. I don't know what else to say.
Let's talk a little bit about Lorna. I mean, it's her name front and center on this release. What was she like? What was she about? What was when she brought the band lyrics? Like, how did you respond? What was that process like?
She carried a notebook with her a lot, and we would come up with sounds in the in the rehearsal studio. We'd come up with, I'd bring in a guitar part, or Gayleen would have a part, or something would happen. And Lorna would fall into like some lyrical thing that she already had. It was all very personal for her. It was her. I think a lot of it was Lorna exercising and exorcising her own demons. She was bringing them out and playing with them, and she was also getting rid of them. And that's what it was for her. I mean, it was a real deeply emotional, creative thing that she did. And myself and we as a band were mainly her vehicle to help her do that, to push it along, to bring in our own ideas. But she was incredibly creative, and I feel blessed to have been associated with her.
Since this project was announced, have either of you heard from her family members, friends, associates? Like, what do people come out of the woodwork to say about this?
Eric's been in contact with all of them.
Yeah, I've been in contact with her siblings.
Mm-hmm.
What are people saying? People are really excited about it.
I mean, has it been an emotional thing?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely emotional. I think that, I've talked to a lot of her former bandmates in the Veil, from Da, from Hip Deep Trilogy, which was a band she was in from 92 to 94. And everyone's, the things that David said about Lorna, it's just like everyone says that. It's just this constant, it's just this consistent, respect for what she did, her art, her talent. If you heard her sing bass, writes most of the songs. She led 3 bands, over a 17-year period, on and off a little bit. She was in more bands, but it's just like she was. I'm kind of getting off of what you were saying, but yeah, it's been a very rewarding experience to help this gap in music, this gap that Lorna had in her discogs, in her musical career, help fill that. Because now it was Da and it was Hip Deep Trilogy, and they're like 10 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems it doesn't tell as much of a story. And she was a presence in the Chicago music scene for so long. I think this helps kind of fill those gaps a little more. And I'm really proud to be a part of that.
Again, there's so much about this story that I just love, but at the core of it, the thing that hooked me and that still inspires me is that you discovered this band, Eric. You discovered this band that you had no knowledge of, and you dug in, and it blew you away, and it inspired you to the point where you're like, I'm going to contact the guy. I'm going to get this stuff. I'm going to make sure that people hear this. I mean, this is a story. It is all about the love of music, and this is the right story to share. I love this.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, but you have the weird thing with David and our connection, as far as how he with my dad in high school and stuff. And then you have
that supernatural thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have all the information that I've learned and that's out there about Lorna. But when I listened to that music that night, I didn't know any of that. I didn't know what they even looked like. There wasn't any photos of anything. I didn't know what Lorna looked like because of I found her photo and stuff, but I didn't know what the band looked like, the style, anything. I just heard the music, and I think that's probably the highest compliment, that of Lorna and of David and of the other members is just with nothing else. I just heard the music and was like, this needs to be heard by other people. This is good enough. And since then, even Smash Plastic, the guys at Smash Plastic are great. The guys who pressed the record. The company who pressed the record. When I was picking up the records a few months ago, they just were saying, such good things about the music. Everyone back there loves it. Back there making all of our workers love it. And, it feels really good that it just started with this, should I get rid of these? Should I not get rid of these? And then listening to them and then making this decision. It's one of the best experiences of my life.
That's amazing. Okay. So again, it's Time Stands Still. People can stream it on Bandcamp and wherever. But more importantly, I was getting to that. You're holding up the record pressed at Smash Plastic here in Chicago over on Diversey.
That's right.
Gorgeous. Can you hold up the actual vinyl?
Sure.
Look at that. Gorgeous pink vinyl.
Yeah. Hold on.
Here. And you were asking about what it was like there. I mean, he's also.
Are those show flyers?
Yeah, these are all show flyers from all various shows that we did at the time, all of which, we did, I mean, and this is in the, X-Acto knives and, spray mounts, period, and go to Kinko's and get 100 copies.
Bands today don't realize how lucky they have it with social media advertising.
I know. It's so easy now. Yeah, I mean, but this was all, these recordings, these posters, all this stuff, the whole thing. I mean, it was a labor of love. We were,
for sure.
We knew that it was a good band. Various personal things happen sometimes with bands, and sometimes things don't last, even if it's a good thing.
Sure.
And
just real quick, all the lyrics.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So lyrics.
You really thought this through.
He did a great job, and he ran everything past me. I of course had input, but ultimately I, kind of left it to Eric to figure out how he wanted to do it.
That's gorgeous.
That he had been the rediscoverer of this stuff, and he had been placed on whatever path it was that brought him to this, and so he should, so this then becomes his creative process.
So I mentioned streaming. Where can people get their hands on that lovely vinyl release?
Lorna Donley the Veil .bandcamp.
You can buy it from Bandcamp, from the merch tab on Bandcamp.
You can get it from Bandcamp. You can get it at, I feel bad, I'm going to forget a few of them. You can get it at
some of the local
Reckless, Rattleback. What's the great one on Diversey? So it's a little shot. They're so awesome. I wish I would have, Sugar. You can get it from Sugar. Gosh, I can't remember that other one. She's great, but yeah, you can get a bunch of places. Facebook, it has a list of where you can get it.
Great.
The Facebook page. But yeah,
maybe we should maybe we should dump some at the thrift store. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll slide them in there between the, Bobby Goldsboro and Christmas records.
Some guy who graduated Brentwood in like 2010 will get it.
That's right.
My God, isn't that the truth? I've tried to find diamonds in the rough at the local thrift stores, whether it's Goodwill or Salvation Army, and the only records I ever see are like Manilow, First Family Rides Again, and the Pablo Cruz album with Love Will Find a Way. That's it.
Streisand,
sure.
Johnny Mathis, Christmas is a big one.
And the occasional Rod Stewart album from the late 70s.
Yeah. Occasional Sticks, beat up Sticks.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually it's like Sticks 2 or Pieces of 8. One of those two.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love that this exists. I love that the care and excitement that you put behind this. David, welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, cool. And it's, it's nice. It's nice that it's out. It feels real. This was a lost piece of my history, our history, her history. And it's nice that it's actually has seen the light of day. It's cool.
So cool. All right. I'm going to stop streaming, but gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. Stay right there though. Okay.
Thanks, James.
And if you're listening or watching, thank you for doing that.